The following is a presentation of the Chicago White Sox Television Network.
It was a rocky afternoon for the White Sox yesterday at Comiskey Park, and the Dog Days of August took another bite out of the American League Central lead. The good guys couldn't find much relief as Tampa Bay took it out on the bullpen in their 12-11 victory. Tonight, Jimmy Parquet will try to provide some relief to the bullpen with some much-needed innings. But he, too, has struggled, going 2-2 since the All-Star break. It's the Sox and D-Rays next on SoxNet. We are coming to you from Comiskey Park in Chicago, Illinois, where tonight WCIU Channel 26 is proud to present White Sox baseball. It's Big Hurt, Frank Thomas, Mags Ordonez, Jose Valentin, and the Chicago White Sox as they get ready to rumble with Fred McGriff, Greg Vaughn, and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Comiskey Park. With Darrin Jackson, I'm Ken Harrell. Since we get set to bring you the finale of this four-game set, Sox took the opener by a score of 5-2. They won game 2 by a score of 7-0. Then yesterday, a tough loss. They lost it 12-11. And tonight, Jim Parquet on the bump.
Well, I know how you love when I crunch some numbers. I'll throw some at you right now. Jim Parquet is 10-4 and 24 starts. 10 no decisions. But the big thing is, every time he leaves the ball game, he gives us a chance. We're still 8-2 in those no decisions. Tonight, he's going to keep us close again, I'm sure, because he's done it all year.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. Finale of this four-game set. It'll be Jim Parquet against Tanyan Sturtz. And we'll be back with the rest of the starting lineups right after this.
Chicago White Sox baseball, brought to you by Miller Lite. Grab a Miller Lite. It's Miller time. Your local Ford store. Quality people, quality products. Clark. When it comes to great gas prices, Clark is the real deal. Your Toyota dealers, leading the way every day. And by Southwest Airlines. Log on for Southwest Airlines low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom.
Welcome back to Comiskey Park Army Night. As they had an induction, 20 or 30 youngsters going into the Army. Some of them also, look at this. I believe they call the Black Knights. I'll tell you, 9 of them. And here's the lead skydiver. And he hits the bullseye. That's amazing. Dropping it way, it came from way up there. I'm not talking about 500 or 600 feet. As there's our man getting everybody cranked up. And right now, let's go out to our scoreboard for our White Sox Sonata.
Chicago White Sox.
And here they come, your first place Chicago White Sox with that record of 74-50, 24 games over, 8 games in front of the Cleveland Indians, who are idle tonight. And as they take their positions, let's check out the starting lineup for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, handed in by their skipper, Larry Rothschild. Leading off in center field, it'll be Gerald Williams. Russ Johnson will be at the hot corner. The DH, Greg Vaughn. Cleanup hitter at first, Fred McGriff. Bobby Smith will hit 5th. He'll be at 2nd. John Flaherty will do the catching and bat 6th. Jose Guillen in right. Jason Tyner in left. And in the 9th position, the shortstop, switch hitting Felix Martinez. Sox defensively, from left to right in the outfield, Lee, Singleton, Ordonez. Around the horn, Graffinino, Valentin, Durham, Canerco, and the battery of Charles Johnson. And the 24-year-old southpaw Jimmy Parquet making his 24th start. Coming in with that 10-4 record, his 10 victories have come over Tampa Bay, Detroit, Baltimore twice, Cleveland, Houston, Cincinnati, New York, Boston, and St. Louis. There are the numbers on Jimmy. His 4 losses came at the hands of Anaheim, Yankees, Minnesota, and Kansas City. So let's check out the men in blue. Ian Lampier behind the plate. Rocky Rowe at first base. Barksdale, Lance Barksdale at second. Brian Runge over at third. Well, Leon Roberts, the Tampa Bay hitting coach, talking things over with Russ Johnson. And we are so happy you could join us for White Sox baseball right here over WCIU Channel 26 for the finale of this 4-game set. Sox with an off day tomorrow, and then Wednesday and Thursday, the Baltimore Orioles come to town for a brief 2-game series. It'll be a while yet. Gerald Williams likes to take his time coming up to the plate. D-Rays coming in with a record of 53 and 69. They are 15 games back in last place in the East. They come in hitting at .265 as a club with a 4.95 ERA. This is the 10th meeting of the year between these two teams. In the first 9, the Sox have won 6 of them. So there's the numbers on Williams. He is 2 for 13 in the series with a homer, and he's driven in a pair. First pitch strike. Williams has seen Parquet 6 times. He has 1 hit. Gap in right center. Out in front, chops that one foul. They're at Comiskey Park, 347 down the lines, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straight away center field. So Jimmy 1-0 this year against Tampa Bay, 2-2 lifetime. Off speed into center field. Can of corn for Chris. He's there. And the lead man gone. I love those skydivers.
Yeah, we just had them the other day.
I know. It's just that's got to be a real rush.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You're gonna take that up pretty soon, aren't you?
I might have to give that a shot.
No, I don't see you doing it. No.
Here's Russ Johnson. At 273, first pitch strike. That's a couple of homers, 16 RBIs. 0 for 1 against Parquet. The Rays 10 under on the road at 25 and 35. Breaking ball, no. In the opener, John Garland had to leave after 5 2/3. He was smoked in the right arm by a line drive off the bat of Fred McGriff, but he picked up the victory. Jose making a call, got the ball. 2 out.
Tell you, Jim Parquet loves to pitch at home. He's got himself a 3.28 ERA at Comiskey. You must like those spacious alleys out there.
Here's the DH, Greg Vaughn. 276 hitter, 22 homers, 56 knocked in, 2 for 11 in the series with 3 ribbies. As that breaking ball high. Vaughn, 1 for 4 lifetime against Parquet with a homer. And the count 2-0. Limited slate of action in the American League. One final this afternoon. Yankees beat Texas 12-3 in the Bronx. Other action will show Anaheim at Boston, Detroit hosting Oakland, and Kansas City at Baltimore. And that's just off the corner, and the count 3-0. And I would imagine he's hacking.
Yeah, I got to believe Jim Parquet probably figures that out. He's not going to lay one right down the middle. Charles Johnson setting up away.
Fouls it back. Full plate over in the National League. Cincinnati at home against Philadelphia. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Braves taking on the Rockies in Colorado. New York at San Diego. Brewers and D-backs teeing it up at Big Bob in Phoenix. LA hosting Montreal. Florida, San Francisco, and the Cubs taking on the Astros at Enron. There's ball 4. So the 2-out walk to Vaughn, and here comes the cleanup hitter, the first baseman, Fred McGriff. McGriff hitting at 276, 20 homers. He's driven home 85. He's had good success against Parquet. 18 at-bats, 8 hits, 7 of which have stayed in the park. Big gap in right center. 1-0 the count.
Well, Jimmy's last start down in Tampa Bay against these Devil Rays, he had a nightmare.
Well, it's the worst start he's had in the White Sox uniform.
7 base on balls and 3 2/3. Yeah.
There's a strike, says Lampew. "36-year-old veteran. Been an outstanding performer. And everywhere he's been one of the best light guys on the club. What's his nickname again?
Fred.
You said it yesterday.
Yeah, well, I can only say it once. If you missed it, I'm sorry. It was a one-time only, spreading rumors. Yeah, Big Fred prefers to be called Freddie, yeah.
That's not right. That's what you call a teaser.
Well, it's only because, you know, he threw what he called me out there, my nickname, so I had to get him back.
3-1 the count, so home plate jumping around on parquet to Greg Vaughn and now McGriff. Dottie Smith on deck. McGriff well off the plate, as he always has been. And foul tip. Hung on to by Charles Johnson. Take him right here. Jimmy. Payoff. And he walks him. So back-to-back walks. Well, it seems since the All-Star break, the walks have just been mounting up.
Yeah, it seems everybody has really had an increase in the base on balls. It's kind of not good considering that they've come back to haunt us so many times.
Didn't hurt us that much in the first half, and they have really hurt us in the second half. Sox, since the All-Star break, have played 37 times, 19 and 18. First ball, fastball, Hunting fouls it away. Smith hitting at .313, 4 homers. He's driven in 15, 3 for 9 in this series with a homer. And that coming at a bad time yesterday, top of the ninth, to tie the game at 11. Larry Rothschild. Little looper. It's going to fall for a base hit. Here's the throw to the plate. Not in time. They go to third base in time. So they get McGriff. Meanwhile, the run scores. The base on balls jumps up and bites him. And after a half inning of play, it's Tampa Bay 1. And the good guys coming to bat. 1-0 Tampa Bay here in the bottom of the first inning. And let's check out the starting lineup for Jerry Manuel's Chicago White Sox. Leading off, Ray Durham. Jose Valentin will be the shortstop, the DH. Hitting third, Frank Thomas. Max Ordonez will back cleanup. He'll be in right field. Paul Konerko at first. Carlos Lee in left. Chris Singleton will hit seventh. He'll be in center. In the eighth hole at third base, Tony Graffinino in the ninth position. Going to catching, Charles Johnson. Defensively, Tyner, Williams, and Guillen in the outfield. Johnson, Martinez, Smith, McGriff around the horn. And the battery of Flaherty and the 29-year-old right-hander, Tanyan Sturtz, 6'5", 205 pounds, out of Worcester, Mass. Coming in with that 4-2 mark. Since he has been in that D-Ray uniform, he is 3-0 with a 2.89 ERA. And what's he going to feature, Feisty?
Fastball, slider, changeup, and split.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as Ray Durham stands in. Ray at 286, 14 homers. He has driven in 60. First pitch down low. Ray 7 for 11 in this series. Johnson in on the grass at third. There's a strike. Sox 35-24 here at home. With that record of 74-50. Sox hitting at .292 as a club. 4.65 ERA. 2-1. That evens it up. The Ray has been doing a great job here in this series of setting the table. Led every ball game off with a hit yesterday, a triple. Flaherty wanted that one, didn't get it. So a full count.
Ray has scored 100 runs on the season already.
Pretty good rip underneath it.
Yeah, Ray has been turning it on a notch lately. 493 at bats. Third in the American League.
Once again, the payoff. And there's a souvenir. And another one. Well, when Tanya was with us, he was basically just a one-pitch pitcher. Couldn't get his splitter over. Do it real hard. Breaking balls real hard. Everything hard, hard, hard. And evidently, he's been doing something different. As there's up high ball 4, so Ray for the 4th game in a row against Tampa Bay reaches base.
Canyon, yes, when he was with us, just seemed like he was feeling a lot of pressure over here. Just didn't really relax.
He is a nice young man.
Yes, he is.
But here's Jose. Valentin hitting at .290, 21 homers, 78 RBIs, 6 for 11 in the series with a homer and 6 ribbies. Sox have been running in this series as well. Sox now 88 stolen bases. Ray with 18 of those 88. Had 4 stolen bases yesterday.
Those 88 stolen bases. That's 3rd best in the American League. We've really turned it on. Kansas City leads the American League with 96. Make that 94. We're right on them.
There goes the Ray. No. Fake. Looked like he stumbled just a bit coming out of the gate. Now he's going to do a little housekeeping out there. A pitch up high. So 2-0 the count to Valentin. Big Frank on deck. There's a strike. Bit of a gap out there in left center field. There goes Ray. They had a shot at him. As that pitch fouled back to even the count at 2.
Well, Jose had himself a hanging splitter. Tried to take advantage of it. That pitch is up. It's a nice one to take a whack at. Fortunately, he fouled it straight back.
Just a beautiful evening for baseball here in the beautiful city of Chicago. There goes Ray once again. There's the throw. It's up high. He's underneath it. Got a little better jump right there. That's number 19. So a full count to Jose. And he got him on the inside corner, says Ian Lampew.
Looked like a good pitch. Fastball around the inside corner. Jose might have thought that pitch was a little down.
Well, here's Big Frank. Frank at 338. 38 homers, 116 knocked in. Takes that breaking ball off the plate. Frank 4 for 13 in the series. With that homer, and he's driven in 5. 0 for 2 lifetime against Sturts. That evens the count at 1. Hard slider. Ray, they got a shot at him, and they're going to get him. So, an ill-advised try to get into third base. Ball right in front of him.
That ball was right there in front of him. He just basically reacted when the ball was hit. Sometimes you say to yourself, the ball's got to be hit to the left of me and I'm taking off. Instead, as soon as it's hit, you take off.
So here's Maggs. Oh, what a bat he had yesterday. Checks it up, fouls it off against Roberto Hernandez. That was a very exciting game yesterday. There were a lot of tense moments. 27,000 plus. So a lot of exciting things. That bat he had against Hernandez was just awesome. Finally, Roberto won it. Picked up his 23rd save. Reached 100 miles an hour a couple of times in that ball game.
Well, the thing that was impressive about Roberto yesterday is that he kept throwing strike after strike in that tough situation with the game on the line.
And Frank had a heck of an at-bat. I mean, Frank had to foul off 2 or 3 tough pitches. There's that splitter. A ball and 2 strikes to Mag. Mag's 25 homers, 103 knocked in. Two and 2. Gap in left center field. Mag's 4 for 12 in the series with 4 RBIs as that splitter gets him right there, and that'll retire the side, so he strikes out a pair. And after 1, it's 1-0 bad guy.
You gotta love Mondays. On Mondays, Sox tickets are half price. And they still play all 9 innings.
One nothing Devil Rays here in the top of the second. It'll be Flaherty, Guillen, and Tyner to face Jim Parquet. John Flaherty hitting at .273, 7 homers. Driven home 28. Takes first pitch strike. Just on the corner. Very quickly, 0-2. Checking some other action for you at Fenway Park, top of the 5th inning. Angels and Red Sox are tied at 2. He's gone. He knew it. He'll grab some bench for out number 1.
Just a paint fastball right on the outside corner. You said it. Flaherty knew it. He was locked up. Must have been looking inside hard. Not for that straight one on the outside corner.
That'll bring up the right fielder, Jose Guillen, 24 years old, hitting at .260, 8 homers. Living in 36. Takes that pitch up high. Guillen 1 for 8 in the series, and lifetime against Parquet, 2 for 9. There's a strike. Pittsburgh hitting in the top of the first at St. Louis, leading the Cardinals 2-0. Top of the third in Cincinnati. Phillies and the Reds are tied at 1. There's a good strike. So if you're just tuning in, as we mentioned, Cleveland is idle tonight. Little shank right there.
I'm noticing that this Ian Lamplugh behind the home plate has that same umpiring style and stance as Brian Runge. Sort of that Runge school of umpiring. It's down to that one knee.
And another souvenir.
As does John Shulock.
This young man right here, one of the better throwing arms in all of baseball. He has a gun. Full count to Guillen. Devil Rays have had an inordinate amount of injuries this year. If you look at Jason Tyner, things started off for Tampa Bay. They were so excited about the potential, as there's the third walk already issued by Parquet. One of them scored last inning. But they were so excited about their offense, and all of a sudden now 3 of their starters are gone. Alvarez, Guzman, Tony Saunders. As that'll bring up the left fielder, Jason Tyner. He was a pest yesterday. 2 for 3, 2 RBI. Knocked in the winning run with a double. Good speed. Also made a perfect throw to get Ordonez at the plate. They got to hurry if they're going to get this young man. Rack him up. They got him. 140th double play turn by the Sox, and after an inning and a half, it's 1-0 D-Rays.
White Sox slugger Paul Konerko loves to give out souvenirs at the game. Some he signs. Some he doesn't. White Sox baseball.
Hey, the kids can play.
Army night here at Comiskey Park. The induction prior to the ball game. Also the Skydivers as we get set to go to the bottom of the second inning. Canyon Sturts walks the leadoff hitter Ray Durham. Ray picked up his 19th stolen base. He struck out Valentin. But Frank on a 6-5 fielder's choice, and he struck out Ordonez. So here's Konerko. Paulie at 296, 14 homers, and 72 RBIs. Big gap in left center field. There's a slider strike. Flaherty to the outside. That's into center field. Williams coming on. He's there, makes the catch. So one out. Right now, let's check out our picks to click. Fillmore, Skip Ellison. Director and crew went with Hawk and Darrin. BJ's going with Frank. Tony and Irene Antonu and I are going to go with Jose Valentin. Here's Carlos. Nice pitch on the corner. Seeley at 293, 21 homers and 78 driven home. 2 for 12 in the series. And very quickly, Tanyan coming right at him.
Well, if he gets ahead of the hitters with that fastball, well, that sure opens that splitter up. Exactly what he did there.
That
bottom
slider
fell out.
looks a little crisp as well.
Yeah, that bottom fell out of that one there.
There's a short hopper right there to Russ Johnson. 2 gone.
Here's a reminder about Comiskey Park scoreboard messages. For a $30 donation to Chicago White Sox charities, it's perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, and special events. For an additional $15, fans will buy an 8x10 color photo of the message. For details, call 312-674-1000.
So 2 quick outs, Chris Singleton. Chris at 260, 9 homers, driven in 52. Having a good series, 5 for 10 with a homer and a pair of ribbies. Pours it right over. 93. Off day tomorrow. And Wednesday and Thursday, the Baltimore Orioles come to town. Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon. On Wednesday, Sean Lowe will make the start against the 22-year-old rookie left-hander John Parrish, who beat us at Oriole Park. Talking about him yesterday a little bit. Frank Thomas said that he is the only guy in the league that throws a rising fastball.
Yeah, he gave us all kinds of trouble down there in Baltimore. And he was pretty sharp.
Walked 8, struck out 7. And still getting a lot of pitches on the corner.
Effectively wild.
Walked 8 guys against our club. None of them scored. Look at the pick by Tanyan Sturts. Wow, there's a hang whooping for Singleton. Meanwhile, 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the third. It is still D-Rays by 1. D-Rays with a run in the first. That coming with 2 out, nobody on. Back-to-back walks to Vaughn and McGriff. Then the little duck snort single by Bobby Smith. Knocked in Vaughn. Felix Martinez will lead it off. Switch hitting shortstop. Makes the bunt, takes the strike. Sending a big White Sox hello to Don Moran of Oak Lawn. Huge Sox fan looking in tonight. Hey, big guy. Martinez 1 for 4 in the series. Curveball, no. And we've got our system hooked up again tonight, where we can interact with some email. I love email. Ate him up, broke his back. 2 down. Oh, check that 1 down. And check out our email address. Email Hawk and DJ, Sox TV at chicagosports.com. Hawk and DJ, Sox TV at chicagosports.com. You got mail. We got mail. Gerald Williams. Slide to his counterpart. Takes that pitch inside. Here's one from Tanny and Pluis. Fastball by him. Goes with a return of Harrell for the Sox. My friend and I are trying to think if there are any other guys who have played in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now in the year 2000 for any team. Good question. A poser.
I don't know.
That's foul back. And out of play onto the screen. 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000.
The only person I could think of would be Ricky Henderson.
When did Fred McGriff come in?
Oh, Freddie's rookie year was 87.
87? Yeah, it's got to be somebody, you know, it's got a few. He's got to be a little long in the tooth, you know.
Well, you either have Ricky Henderson or... No, I don't think Cal Ripken.
I think both those guys did it. Nope, I think Cal's first year was 82, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's about right. And Tony Gwynn was about 82.
Ricky. Payoff pitch. Hit hard into left. Carlos going back at the wall, jumps. And you can put it on the board. Solo shot. Number 20 for Gerald Williams. And that puts him in some select category. Select company, doesn't it?
Well, he becomes the 14th American leaguer to hit 20 home runs from the leadoff spot. And that's a lot of leadoff hitters right here. Jimmy's just going to throw him a fastball in the inner part. Pulls the hands in, snaps the head through, and just gets it out of here.
Russ Johnson takes ball one. He popped up to shortstop. So a 2-0 Tampa Bay lead. 20 homers, 80 RBIs for Gerald Williams. That's into left center field. Carlos, he's there, reaches up. It is a very windy night, so that wind's going to be playing some tricks out there. 2 out.
Here's a reminder about the Ticketmaster sweepstakes. It's July 13th through August 24th. When you purchase White Sox tickets by phone or online using American Express, you're qualified to win a trip for 2 to spring training in Tucson, Arizona. For tickets, call 312-831-1SOX or visit whitesox.com.
Greg Vaughn, the DH, has walked and scored. Fastball tails off the outside corner. Cincinnati now leading Philadelphia 7-1. Phillies hitting in the top of the 4th inning. Got to play right side. Oakland has tied up Detroit at 1. Tigers hitting in the bottom of the 6th. Anaheim has picked up 3 as they lead Boston 5-2. Bottom of the 6th at Fenway. Pretty good pitch to hit right there. So Parquet on top, 1-2. Outfield straight up. As he got him on the inside corner, Vaughn knew it. But the 20th homer of the season for Gerald Williams, and after 2.5, it's 2-0 Tampa Bay. (2-2-0) for Tampa Bay. No runs, no hits, no errors for the Sox. As Tony Graffinino will lead it off, hitting at .312. First pitch from the hard-throwing right-hander Tanyan Sturtz, misses upstairs. Good fastball strike. Nice crowd on hand. So that should bode well, Sox, with 21 crowds of 30,000 plus this season. And in those 21 games, they are 16-5. But here's another email from Laurie Ford. Monongahela, Pennsylvania. So I've been watching both the Cubs and the White Sox games to see Sosa and Thomas home runs. I'm wondering if there is excitement in Chicago over the possibility that Sosa and Thomas could compete for the home run title.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is a race to itself. I mean, Frank is going to be at the top, obviously. He's been locked in with his home run swing, and you know, Sammy always generates that home run excitement, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but from my perspective, as the count now moves full, I don't think there's been that much excitement here locally about who's going to hit the most home runs. I think the biggest focus, Laurie, has been Sox trying to finish off this divisional title. Got him on the outside corner. Third strikeout for Sturz.
Sturz, good fastball away.
Yeah, good pitch. Here's Charles Johnson. CJ hitting at 292, 24 homers. Knocked in 62. Outside.
Umpire started to raise that hand, wanted to call a strike. Said, no, that's not a strike.
That's high and deep. Stay fair. Jason Tyner over. And it's foul. They mentioned it is really windy here at the ballpark tonight. Oh, I thought they had a chance to stay fair.
Well, you know how those gusts are here. It just takes them, pushes them all directions.
Slider, hard slider. 1-2 the count. That ball hit hard into right field. Guillen giving chase. He won't get there. One hop over the fence. So the one out. Ground rule double by Charles Johnson. You can cancel the postgame show.
Charles going line to line. Hooks that breaking ball foul down the left field line and keeps this one fair. Good fastball away right there by Sturzy, but CJ's all over it.
So that's the first runner to reach base since Ray walked, leading off the bottom of the first. Takes ball one. Ray also picked up his 19th stolen base. That ball hit hard into left center field. Gerald Williams tracking. He's there. Makes the catch. 2 out.
For a minute there, it looked like that ball was going to slice away from Gerald Williams, then held up.
I thought it was, yeah. Well, we've asked this question before, DJ. You played a lot of games out there in center field here at Comiskey Park. Is this the toughest to you, wind-wise, toughest ballpark in the American League?
Well, in the American League, always has been, yes. National League used to be old Candlestick.
First pitch strike to Jose.
It's the funny thing, they always talk about the wind at Wrigley Field, where that's really not an issue over there. Whether it blows straight in or straight out, it doesn't really circle like it does here.
Yeah, you get the swirling effect. There's that splitter. Well, he's taking a lot more off that splitter now than he was when he was in that White Sox uniform.
He's got a whole bunch more bite on it.
Well, he was throwing it so hard. I mean, he was throwing his fastball in 93, 94. He was throwing that splitter, you know, in 90, 91. Pops him up right side. Fred McGriff makes the catch, and it'll retire the side. Sox do come up with their first hit, and we'll go to the fourth, trailing by 2. Right now, let's take a look at the White Sox upcoming games brought to you by Pepsi AC. Off day tomorrow, then Wednesday and Thursday, the Baltimore Orioles. And Friday, again, that 6-game road trip. 3 at Safeco Field against the Mariners, and 3 from the Coliseum against the Oakland A's. Brought to you by Pepsi AC. Fred McGriff will lead off the top of the 4th inning. Fred walked his first trip. Fouls that one down at the plate.
You notice that overly large helmet that Freddie's wearing? Must have a lot of extra padding in it or something.
Don't do that unless you say his nickname.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, it's just a large helmet. You know, some are smaller, and that one there is just a larger one. Maybe he needs extra protection.
Two and one. Chops that one foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the 36-year-old veteran. They have the large helmets.
Freddie, he hits the ball well against lefties. I lost it.
Pretty good pitch.
Let's see here. He's batting .287 against left-handers. You just saw that.
Well, he just smokes that one into center field. So now, Parquet barks in something, or turns around and looks. Leadoff man aboard. And that'll bring up Bobby Smith. Had a little soft single into right field to knock in Greg Vaughn in the first inning. Pretty good rip at a fastball upstairs. Bobby coming over from the Atlanta Brave organization in the expansion draft.
Well, this new open stance of his and that little toe tap is sure making him a much better hitter, it appears.
Change up high off the plate. Well, there's just so many different ways you can go about starting the action. One and two. Another good changeup right there. And they call it overcoming the initial inertia.
What?
I thought they might get a rise out of it.
Word of the day, inertia.
Another shot. Nice pick by Jose. Rack him up. Boy, there's a good play. That ball was absolutely scalded. Second twin killing turn by the Sox.
I'll tell you what. Looked like Jose almost got caught in between. He wanted to put his glove down, then had to flip it over and still make that play and flip. That was a difficult play, and he absolutely made it look simple.
That ball was hurt. You see the Sox, the Mariners and the Blue Jays now with 141. Here's the catcher, John Flaherty. Saw 3 pitches, took 3 pitches. Takes that curveball low and in. There are only a few guys. I guess Moises Alou today is the guy who probably has no trigger. There's a little looper in the center field. Chris coming on. He's there. He'll make the catch, and that'll retire the side. Nothing across. It was a hit. No errors. Nobody left after 3.5. It is still Tampa Bay by a pair. Frank Thomas will lead off the bottom of the 4th inning against Tanyan Sturts, who has given up just 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Pours that first ball fastball at 95 right down the chute. Splitter. A good one. 9 miles an hour off of his fastball. And the thing about it, as we mentioned, that's a big difference. One and 2 the count. Lays off that one. Here's an email from Mike Henry from Lombard. We just got this in. Says, I am sitting here filling out my White Sox postseason ticket form and wondering how many series I should realistically buy tickets for. Any suggestions? Sturts wanted it, didn't get it, and the count goes full. Well, Mike, I wish we knew. First of all, we got to get there. That's number 1. And then after that, anything can happen in a 5-game set, and then anything can happen in a short game 7 series set. There's a shot down into the corner. Frank on his way to second base. Jason Tyner with the throw. Frank gets in there with the leadoff double. That's his 33rd two-bagger.
That time, Jose with the team lead. Didn't get that one quite down, and Frank got to it.
30.
Maglio kept his head down well on this pitch.
So here's Maggs. Strikeout victim his first trip. Takes downstairs ball 1.
Magda be shooting it up the middle or the right side, trying to move him over and in at the same time.
There's a splitter strike. Base hit to Frank was just to get me over 3-2 splitter. Maggs trying to get him over. And the ball goes foul. With Frank Maggs on top by 2 over Edgar and Alex. 9 over Carlos Delgado and Tony Batista. There's some dynamic duels out there this year. He's going to get the job done. Attaboy, Maggs. See, that should be a sacrifice.
Yes, it should.
That is team baseball right there. Maggs with 103 RBIs coming in. Man on second, nobody out, trailing 2-0. Bottom of the 4th.
Ball way inside. Doesn't try to pull it, just jams himself and gets the job done.
So here's Paul. He lined hard to Gerald Williams, who made a shoe top catch. That's a little soft line drive. Felix Martinez. 2 out.
Well, again, good defensive placement saves the Devil Rays a run.
You know, after that game yesterday, I'm going back to the house, Feisty, and I'm still trying to figure out how in the world Bobby Smith could have been playing Frank to pull in that situation that much. I mean, it just mystified me.
Well, right there, Martinez was literally standing in the hole to catch that soft line drive.
Well, I can understand that. As Carlos, good rip right there. Carlos grounded out to third. I can understand it on Konerko. But Hernandez out there throwing anywhere from 98 to 100. 1-2 count. DeFelice was setting up on the outside part, and he's playing him to pull in that situation. Man. Outside 1-1. Meanwhile, 12-11. Tampa Bay victory. Nice block by John Flaherty. So the count 2-1 to Carlos. Was paused for station identification.
You're watching WCIU, Channel 26, the U.
Along with Darrin Jackson, Ken Harrelson from Comiskey Park. Finale of this 4-game set against the Devil Rays. Light him up, Carlos. There's a shot right into the gap. Another 2-out run's going to cross that plate. As Caballo on his way to second, he'll get there, and it's a 2-1 ball game. 26 two-bagger, RBI number 79 for El Caballo.
Why not? Like you say, more 2-out damage by the Sox. Splitter down in the way. He stays on it very nicely. Let it get deep and just drove it. Here's a reminder. Visit the Majestic Athletic Hall of Fame gift shop in the main concourse and the gift shop on the upper deck level behind home plate on your next trip to Comiskey Park.
Here's Chris. Chris hit a bullet. One hopper right back at Sturts, who made the play off to the side.
His glove was behind him. His head was looking one direction, and it went right in his mitt.
That ball just hunted that glove down. Takes that pitch downstairs. Pours that one over. 95. Two and one. Pittsburgh is leading St. Louis 2-0 after one. It is now 3-2 Cardinals. They're still hitting in the bottom of the third. Tigers leading Oakland 3-1 top of the seventh in Detroit. There's a chopper. McGriff Sturts right where he should be. Makes the catch. Grabs the bag. But the Sox get on the board. 2-out double by Carlos Lee. Knocks in Big Frank. And we'll go to the fifth, trailing 2-1. Carlos Lee's 79th RBI of the season. Knocked in Big Frank Thomas. So far, Tampa Bay will be the lower third of the order. Guillen, Tyner, and Martinez. Jose drew a walk his first trip. Takes the breaking ball strike.
That's a pretty dangerous combination right here. Jose Guillen been hit by pitches 11 times, second in the American League. And Jim Parquet has hit 9 batters.
Yeah, Guillen hits himself a lot.
Yeah, he'll walk into him, and Parquet's not afraid to come inside.
Close.
I see Mo Vaughn on the top of the list.
Well, if you look at all those guys, all 4 of those guys, they walk right into it. I bet you probably 50% of the pitches that they get hit by is that pitch way off the plate. Full count. I bet you 50% are close to being strikes.
But you know, with Mo Vaughn, most definitely, he hangs out over that plate.
Big hack. And a souvenir right side. Hits are even at 3 apiece. Tampa Bay leads at 2-1 here in the top of the 5th. They mentioned the off day tomorrow. Then Wednesday evening, Sean Lowe against John Parrish. The game will be over Fox Sports Net as he walks the leadoff hitter. 4th walk issued by Jimmy. We'll see if Tyner's going to try to get him over. Then on Thursday afternoon in the finale of this homestand, and that 2-game set against the Orioles, Mike Soroka against Pat Rapp, and that game will be over WGN. Graffinino in on the grass at third, outfield. Well around to the left. There's a bunt. Charles Johnson. Sacrifice 2-3.
Charles Johnson's got a pretty good arm, Hawk.
I love it when you analyze.
Well, it's true. He gets out there casually. Looks like, oh, this is going to be a close play. And all of a sudden, looks like the ball was shot out of a cannon. Tyner's flying down the line. Boom. Gone.
Shortstop Felix Martinez with a little soft comebacker to Parquet. Takes a breaking ball strike.
You can see, by the way, Martinez holds his bat. Not him. That's Harold Baines. Martinez right there holds that bat low in his stance. He'll probably generate a whole bunch of initial inertia.
Well, you have to overcome the initial inertia. He's been all over the place stance-wise. We've seen in this probably what, the 3rd or 4th different stance we've seen him use since we played him that 4-game series down at Tropicana Field, and now this one. They're just trying to find a trigger for him. That's all they're trying to do. We were talking about triggers. Moises Alou has none. He just stands there and goes from a dead stop. You very seldom see that kind of. There's a little chopper. Okay. Almost throws it away. Pulls Konerko off the bag. Almost threw it in the right field. So runners at the corners. 1 out.
Well, the pitchers were here a little early today, getting in a little PFP. And Jimmy, being a starting pitcher today, would not have been there.
E1, air 1.
But he's coming in, charging hard, and trying to wheel and throw at the same time.
And this is what you call getting yourself in a jam with the leadoff walk. And now the throwing arrow. And here's Gerald Williams, 1 for 2, a homer. His 20th. Coming in the 3rd. There's a shot base there. So the Sox pick up 1 in the bottom of the 4th. The Rays come right back. It is 3-1. So 2 of the 4 walks that Parquet has issued have scored.
Gerald Williams out in front, but he doesn't care. He hits from any kind of position. He'd be out in front late. He's one of those guys that can swing pitches over his head, down in the dirt, off the corners. He's just a wild swinger who gets good results. That was his 81st RBI in the season.
Here's the 3rd baseman, Russ Johnson. Popped to short, fly to left, takes the strike. So far, a bit of a flat, tight ball game for us.
So far. Guys kind of going around like they got allergies or something today. Making them drag a little bit. It's in the air.
There's a good strike. Johnson didn't think so, and the count 1-2. 27-year-old infielder. Yes, he did. Third strikeout for Parquet. 2 out. But now you have to contend with the very dangerous Greg Vaughn. He has walked and scored and struck out. Caught looking. And knew it. Just off the corner.
See, he was read very, very nicely before that injury.
Two and 0. And you get the feeling that Parquet feels that he is being squeezed by Ian Lampew. Got to let it go. Three and 0. Freddie McGriff on deck. Whatever it's going to be, make it a good one. He's hacking.
Yeah, you know, 3-0, 3-1 lead. First and second. Left-handed pitcher on the mound. Greg Vaughn's going to cut it loose. And he did. Boy, that was easy to figure out. But he's doing it again, 3-1.
That'll load him up. Fifth walk.
Jimmy decided to go with the changeup on him, not challenge him, take his chances. Now you got Freddie up there who's hitting better against left-handers than right-handed pitchers.
Well, he's 9 for 19 lifetime off Parquet. Now we're going to have some activity. Right-hander Kevin Byrne. That's 14 walks issued by Parquet in his last 3 starts.
That's too many.
7 3 2/3 against the D Rays. 2 in 6 innings of work against Baltimore. And 5 so far here tonight. Sacks, packs. Curveball misses. That'll work.
Yeah, Freddie has 2 grand slams this season.
He was going for the 3rd. Boy, Fred McGriff, when he was a youngster coming up, hit some of the most majestic home runs.
Yeah, he has that true home run swing.
Two and one.
Well, he's had that high finish. High and deep drives. Like you said, majestic. Word of the day, other than inertia.
Big pitch right here. There's a shot, base hit. So the base on balls have just eaten Parquet up tonight. It's a 5-1 Tampa Bay lead. That error didn't help anything.
Pitch away from Freddie. He doesn't get greedy this time. Took his one big swing earlier in the at-bat, that high finish of his. He drove a bullet right past Jose, and that almost split the gap. It was hit so hard.
So second baseman Bobby Smith will be the hitter. 1 for 2. A little duck snort base hit, driving and running to first. Then he scalded one last inning into a 6-4-3 double play. Dreaded leadoff walk. And here comes the skipper. Jerry Manuel. He probably gave the sign from the bench for him to throw over to first base a couple of times and let Kevin Byrne have a few more pitches. Meanwhile, Parkey will depart, and we'll be back.
Well, Jim Parquet struggles continue against Tampa Bay this season. He had to be taken out of there after only 4 2/3. Well, Kevin Byrne's going to come on and try and help him out. He's 1-1 with a 6.38 ERA. His 23rd game. 36 2/3, 39 hits, 5 home runs, 15 baseballs, those 29 strikeouts. That's good. Kevin's done a pretty good job coming out of the bullpen. Hopefully, right here with the 2 outs, he'll get this quick one against Bobby Smith.
Five 5-0 for the D-Rays. 1-3-1 for the Sox. The one turned out to be a big one. So the 8th hitter to come to plate here in the top of the 5th inning. Curveball high. Yeah, Bobby Smith has a much more aggressive approach to the ball than we saw him earlier in the season.
Well, with this open stance and little toe tap, he has definitely got much better timing on every pitch.
Another good rip underneath it. Canyon Sturts likes what he is looking at. The crooked number goes up on that board for him. 5-1 D-Rays. I don't think they're going to catch Mr. McGriff on that play.
He's not going anywhere anyway. Brady's only got 1 stolen base on the season.
That'll be out of play. Just tuning in, this inning started off with a walk to Guillen. Sacrifice bunt by Jason Tyner. Little tap out in front of the plate by Felix Martinez. Bad throw by Jimmy. Got Konerko off the bag. Base hit, RBI by Williams. Struck out Johnson. Walked Vaughn. Then the two-run single by Freddie McGriff. Take him right here. Yeah.
Or we don't do it now.
Williams now 81 RBIs to go along with those 20 homers from that leadoff hole. Another thing about Bobby Smith, too, is he's staying on the ball much, much better.
Well, he's going the right direction right from the beginning of his movement now. Takes that foot back, closes that front shoulder towards the pitcher, and stays right there with it. No flying open.
Big gap in left center field. Felix Martinez working on his trigger. Billy Hatcher going through his sequence of signs down at third. Jose Cardinal, the coach at first. Skip foul. It will. And Charles Johnson may have seen something about Bobby Smith. Maybe, hey, he's fouling off some pretty good breaking balls way away. Let me bust him inside and see what happens. They bust him in there. Rocky Rose says no. 2-2.
Well, you're right on it. He's covering that outside part of the plate, so Charles says, let's give it a try somewhere else, and it almost works.
They're going to double him up. There goes the runner. Here's the return. And they're going to steal a run. It's a 6-1 ball game. Those are the kind of runs right there you cannot allow.
That play right there, yeah, that should not happen. Charles Johnson saw Freddie go. He just came up firing. He gave a quick glance to third, but Ray, when he sets back that far on this particular play, needs to just go put the tag on Fred McGriff, get the out.
So the 3-2 pitch. Top foul. Well, there's 6 ways to defend that play. That was one of them that didn't work.
Well, that particular play there, the best thing to do when you're sitting back like that is catch it and run as hard as you can at the guy that was stealing second. Maybe you'll get lucky and put the tag on him before the guy crosses home plate, but he had no chance at home. Obviously, he was safe easily.
He strikes him out as Bobby Smith fires that bat down. Whew. Oh, man. 4 runs across the plate. We're halfway home, trailing by 5. It's time now for our fourth snapshot and our birthday salute to my partner, Darrin Jackson. DJ broke in with the Cubs in 1985 and is still one of 4 Cubs to hit home runs in consecutive pinch hit appearances. 1989, DJ was traded to the San Diego Padres, where in 1991 he slugged his career-high 21 homers. And one of Darrin's greatest assets was his excellent skill with a glove in the outfield. His lifetime fielding percentage was .989. So, partner, tonight, when that clock ticks past midnight, you can put another year on the board, yes. As Tony Graffinino hits the first pitch from Tanyan Sturts, 2 hopper to Martinez. 1 out. 6-1. Tampa Bay on top.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Beautiful little birthday celebration on video. But you guys are wrong. It's not my birthday.
That's what it says in the book.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep denying it every day.
I told you, don't ever get upset about getting a year older. Charles Johnson. Fastball, 0-1. CJ a double. Down in the right field corner his first trip. As he turns it loose on that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. As he gets him. Fourth strikeout for Sturts.
Here's a reminder. Party areas at Comiskey Park, including the patio, Gate 1, Terrace, and Diamond Suites. These areas are great for entertaining clients or groups of any size. Call the White Sox at 312-674-1000 if you're interested in renting them or leasing them or buying a ticket.
So Ray. Ray has walked. Lined hard to left center field. There's a strike. Two and one. Sturts wanted that pitch. And that's off the corner. Oh, let's get some two-out thunder going.
Yeah, I get something going.
There's ball 4. Second walk issued by Sturts, and here comes Jose. Jose 0 for 2, a strikeout, and a pop-up to McGriff.
Well, one thing we said about Tanyan the whole time that he was here, and once he left to go to Tampa Bay, is he's got an outstanding arm. And now it seems like he has got it under control.
Come on, Hose. Light him up. Splitter strike.
Ray stole a base in the first inning, but he also leads the American League in being caught stealing bases at 12 times.
There he goes. There's a shot. Look at Sturts right back at him. That is 2 plays he's made tonight. One off Singleton, one off Valentin, and that'll retire the side. We have finished 5, trailing by 5.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago White Sox and may not be reproduced nor retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago White Sox.
There she is after 5 innings. Not good. 6-5-0, 1-3-1. Boy, here's just a bullet. There once again, right at his glove, the same thing. So Chris Singleton in is John Flaherty. Swinging at first pitch, hits it high and long and foul. Flaherty 0 for 2, a strikeout. He is lined to Singleton. A Upstairs. And checking the scores for you. This afternoon, the Yankees stumped the Rangers 12-3 in the Bronx. Bottom of the 9th inning at Fenway. Angels and Red Sox are tied at 5. Top of the 9th in Detroit, 3-1 Tigers over Oakland. This foul straight back over our heads. Top of the 8th in Baltimore, 2-1 Orioles over Kansas City. Over in the National League, 7-4 Cincinnati over Philadelphia. Phillies hitting in the top of the 7th. Bottom of the 5th in St. Louis, 6-2 Cardinals over the Pirates. Bottom of the 6th in Houston, Cubs, and they were tied at 3. It is now 5-3 Houston. They're still hitting in the bottom of the 6th. High pop-up. Tony Graffinino fighting that wind. So the lead man down, that'll bring up the right fielder, Jose Guillen. Guillen's been to the plate twice. He walked twice. Last inning, he started off that 3-run 5th. Upstairs, 2-0.
Again, in 97, straight from A-ball to the big leagues with the Pirates. Made himself quite a splash.
Well, before we moved to Tucson from Sarasota, we saw him in spring training. He looked like he was just going to come in and absolutely, I mean, he was one of the most impressive youngsters we saw all spring.
Looked like he was going to become a superstar.
It did. It really did.
Outstanding defense with a cannon. Good power going the other way. I mean, that rookie year straight out of A-ball, hit 14 home runs. Hit the ball well.
Full count. I remember over Bradenton watching him take batting practice. Of course, the wind was blowing out, but still. He hit one over that center field wall. That backdrop. Right next to the flagpole out there.
It's a long way.
That's a jaunt.
Yeah. He did have 84 RBIs his second year. 38 doubles. Instead of Tanyan 3-0 as our Devil Ray trying to become 4-0.
Yeah, with that 2.89 ERA. That's high in the right center field. Chris is there. Two out to the left fielder, Jason Tyner. Hit into a 6-4-3 double play. They had to turn that one in a hurry with his young man's speed. Also has a sacrifice bunt.
You're talking about, looks like so many, you and I talked about this before, but so many times when a team is basically being dominated by an opposing pitcher, looks like they're lethargic that night. Really just being shut down.
Well, we are being shut down. No question about that. Sox with just 3 base hits. 1 run coming in the 4th. Leadoff double by Frank. 2-out double by Carlos. As Tyner's gone. 1-2-3 inning for Kevin Byrne. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Thomas, Ordonez, and Canerco. Come on, guys. Big Frank will lead it off as he takes first pitch fastball. 1-0. Frank is hit into a 6-5 fielder's choice, then ripped a double down in the left field corner. And has scored the only Sox run to this point as there's a chopper that's foul. Start us off, big man. That's low. 2-1.
Yeah, we need us some thunder. We got to jump out with 6 quick ones.
High in the center field. Williams.
Here's a reminder, every Monday home game, all tickets are half the regular price. Next family half price Monday is September 4th, and the White Sox take on the Texas Rangers at 105. The tickets call 312-8311-SOX.
Here's Maggs. Maggs 0 for 2, but last time up got the job done. Hit a ground ball to second base. Move Frank over to third.
At that point, it was just a 2-0 ball game.
Sturtz been featuring that good fastball, hard slider, and a good splitter. There it is. 9 to 10 miles an hour off his fastball. So we mentioned, just joining us, when he was with us, he was only 2 to 3 miles an hour off his fastball with that hard splitter. Oh, Maggs, good 2-strike hitter.
Well, that split finger fastball is a feel pitch. It's got to feel perfect in your fingers. It doesn't. You keep working and trying to find it. You see he sets it in there early. If he's not going to throw it, he goes to another grip quickly, but he starts with that.
That ball hit hard back through the middle base hit. They had the pitch speed on that one when it came off the bat at 107 miles an hour. I think they may have got the ball coming off the bat rather than the pitch.
Not the pitch, that's for sure. And we got one past Sturtzy finally. See Sturtz, 5th lowest ERA in the month of August.
Here's Konerko. Takes a strike on the inside corner. $31,744. Maggs 17 for 20 in stolen bases.
An outstanding percentage right there. Get that out of a base stealer, and he will run away with the percentage lead.
Out in front. So the count 0-2. JB's going to be doing everything he can over there in that dugout to try to give some inspiration. Trailing by 5 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. As that pitch inside. First and third, and Paul. There it is. Mag's going to make the turn. Guillen's got a gun. The throw, and they get him. What a throw by Jose Guillen. Everybody knows he can throw.
He is not a man to try and take an extra base on. He's one of those people that do stop you from taking the extra base. And this ball was hit slowly. Maglio well around second base, but look at this strike. I mean, we've been talking about it. One of the best arms you're going to see from right field in all of baseball.
Here's Carlos. Takes that fastball outside. He's 1 for 2, that RBI double. Yeah, when you're down 5 runs like this in this situation, and you've got a ball that hit to right field, you better know you can get in there as that pitch foul back. Gerald Williams has a good arm in center, but nothing like Jose Guillen. He got a cannon.
I mean, that baby was as if he was throwing it from the mound to home plate. When it left his hand, it did not go down. It just stayed right at the same plane all the way from right field.
Just foul. Just foul. Who had the greatest throwing arm you've ever seen?
Ellis Valentine. What about you?
Well, there have been a lot of them. As the ball gets away, now Flaherty has time, takes it, makes it down to McGriff. And that'll retire the side. Sox had something going, but the gun of Jose Guillen pegs out Mags at third. And we'll go to the 7th inning trailing 6-1. Six-1 bad guys here in the top of the 7th inning. What a throw by Guillen. Felix Martinez, the shortstop, will lead it off. He's 0 for 2. Reached on an error. And he has scored a run. Tampa Bay 1 in the first, 1 in the third, 4 in the fifth. Sox, their only tally coming in the 4th inning. And a count 0-2. Checking some particulars for you in that 12-3 Yankee victory over Texas. Hernandez the winner, Sikorsky the loser. Palmeiro hit number 31, Rusty Greer number 6, Posada number 23, and Derek Jeter hit number 12. Extra innings in Boston, tied at 5 with the Angels. That pitch out of play. Adam Kennedy hit number 8. Brian Dahlback hit number 17. Detroit beat Oakland 3-1. Tigers now just 1 game under 500. 61 and 62. Mulder and Sparks were the starters in that game. And that's out of play. Bottom of the 8th in Baltimore, 2-1 Orioles over the Royals. Meadows on the hill for Kansas City. And Mike Mussina for the Birds. Houston leading the Cubs 5-3, bottom of the 7th. That ball smoked into right field. Mags goes back. Looks up, and you can put it on the board. Second home run for Felix Martinez, and it's a 7-1 ball game.
Felix Martinez just jumped all over a high fastball. I mean, he back-legged this ball. Really, really drove it.
So here's the leadoff hitter, Gerald Williams. He's 2 for 3, a homer and an RBI single. Takes up high. In that Houston Cub game, Green hit number 8, Hidalgo hit number 32, and Sosa hit number 43. Count evens at 1. On the inside corner. Curveball popped up in the right. Mag's coming on. He can't get there. So with 1 on, nobody out, 1 run in. Let's pause for station identification.
You're watching WCIU, Channel 26, The U.
Darrin Jackson, Ken Harrelson from Comiskey Park. Not good. Trailing 7-1. Here's Russ Johnson. He's 0 for 3. Takes that pitch inside.
Well, we talked about Gerald Williams a little while ago, how he'll swing at everything, cover a whole bunch at home plate, and there he did it again. A little breaking ball way down the way. He just throws the bat at it and gets a knock.
2-0. There's a strike. Greg Vaughn on deck. Freddie McGriff in the hole. And it's 3-1. Well, Bernie, no walks. There's a base hit. So the leadoff homer by Martinez, the little duck snort single by Williams, the line shot single by Russ Johnson. And it'll bring up Greg Vaughn, who stole home in the 5th inning. Double steal, McGriff at first, 2 out. Already out to try to settle him down just a little bit. And if you missed that double steal, Matt Wallback back in 1997 was the last guy to steal home against the Sox. Carlos Castillo on the hill. Gone 0 for 1 with a strikeout. He's walked twice and scored twice. Takes ball 1. That's some activity down in the Sox pen. Southpaw Mark Burley.
That flashback of that steal of home was a different type of stolen base. It was the old get picked off at first base, man on third base takes off immediately when that pitcher turns and fires. This one was the delay steal to second base, throw down, and then that man comes rushing home. And it's 3-0.
So the D-Rays setting themselves up for a big inning here in the top of the 7th. Byrne just drops his shoulders. Thought he had a strike there, and that will load him up. So here's Fred McGriff. See what Jerry Manuel wants to do with Burley down in that bullpen. McGriff 2 for 2. A walk. Solid smash to center. And a solid smash to left to knock in a pair as there's a curveball low.
Well, we got the lefty warmed up in the bullpen where we talked about it, and Freddie actually hits left-handers better. Take your chances here with the righty.
Two and nothing. There's Williams at third, Johnson at second, and Vaughn at first. Three balls, no strikes. Eight one. Third RBI for McGriff. 7th walk issued by Sox pitching tonight. So Byrne will depart. Burley comes on, and we'll be back.
Mark Burley is on in relief of Kevin Byrne, and he comes on in a tough situation. The base is loaded, nobody out. And he's got his work cut out for him. You see his numbers right there. He's going to face Bobby Smith, who has been swinging the bat very well and on everything.
He's 1 for 3 tonight. That little soft single to knock in a run in the first inning. 8-0 for Tampa Bay. 1-5-1 for the Sox. That pitch up high.
Come on! See, this is where you got to smell it. Now, Tom, step on his neck right here. Come on.
Outfield straight away. And now Mark will back it down as Charles Johnson wants to go out and make sure they're on the same page.
Here's a reminder, the White Sox are playing to win and to help others. Every time the White Sox turn a double play, Van Kampen Funds Incorporated will donate $100 to Chicago White Sox charities. Van Kampen Funds Incorporated and Chicago White Sox teaming up for a good cause.
Well, the 7 walks issued by Sox pitching tonight. 3 of them have scored, but they have been instrumental in setting up big innings as there's a shot base hit right back through the middle. Here comes 2 more, and it's 10-1. So not a good night.
No, this one here is not been pretty. The base on ball, the one error by Parquet that cost him also.
John Flaherty can't get it. Flaherty is struck out, line to center, and fouled out to third. Ate him up right there with the breaking pitch on the hands. Cafanino was there. And the Bronx cheer comes up. So here comes Jose Guillen. He's walked twice, scored once, and popped to center. Changeup. Nice motion by Burley.
The Sox have been playing so well in front of large crowds here at home. Tonight, totally different story. They came in at 16-5. Crowds over 30,000.
The ball hit hard in the right field. Maggs looks up, off the fence. Gets it back in. So McGriff scores. It's 11-1. Both walks this inning have crossed home plate.
Yeah, and talked about it earlier. He does have good power the other way. This one he hit a line missile. Halfway up the fence. Maglio plays it nicely on the rebound.
And that pitch hit him. So that'll bring up the guy that started this inning off with his second homer of the season. Hitting from the left side, he now goes over to the right side. Felix Martinez. It's one of those games right here. It's just like you got to eat it. That's all. Quarterback goes back to pass. Protection breaks down. You got to eat it.
Just take the sack.
That's it. Fouls that one back off the mask. That's high. 1-1 the count to the Devil Rays shortstop.
Well, we get to see Martinez from the left side starting the inning off, and then the right side here. Two totally different stances.
Durham, Valentin, rack him up. Third double play turned by the Sox, but some more damage done. They score 5. Seventh inning stretch. They lead it by 10. Right now, let's check out our Miller Lite Major League scoreboard. Yankees thumped the Rangers 12-3 in New York. 10th inning at Fenway, tied at 5. Tigers beat the A's 3-1 at Comerica Park. 9th inning in Baltimore, 2-1 Orioles over Kansas City. Over the National League, 7-4 Reds over the Phillies. That's in the 8th. Houston leading the Cubs 5-3. Sammy is hit number 43. St. Louis 7, Pittsburgh 4, 7th inning. 4th inning out in Colorado. Bravo shutting out the Rockies 1-0. And they are just getting underway. That's at San Diego, Milwaukee at Arizona. Dodgers hosting the Expos, and Florida taking on the Giants at Pac-Bell Park. 11-1 Devil Rays. Chris Singleton will lead it off. Chris 0 for 2 tonight. Takes ball 1 from the big hard-throwing right-hander Tanyan Sturts.
Well, we might as well give him a finish right here and make it exciting. Just start piling some hits on. What the heck?
Way outside, 2-0. There's one.
See what that Todd Helton's doing over there in Colorado?
That's amazing, isn't it?
Started the day at 398.
That's not all he's doing, though, is it?
Oh, no. He's pretty much putting on a hitting clinic when it comes to holding that lumber. And he's got 31 home runs to go with that average. Second in the league in RBIs at 110 behind Sammy. Starting the day, that is. Leads the league in multi-hit games. Basically, he's at the top of every offensive category. That is impressive.
The 2-2. And another souvenir. Off day tomorrow, thank goodness. But these guys have to regroup. Take the first 2 games of this series by scores of 5-2 and 7-0. Then yesterday they lost a real toughie, 12-11, as he strikes out Singleton.
Mannion pulled a string on him right there. Straight changeup. And featuring that forkball of his and good fastball. He hasn't thrown too many changeups.
He has 6 strikeouts, and here's Tony Graffinino. Tony 0 for 2, a strikeout. He was grounded to short. Cues that one foul, and very quickly the count 0-2. There's Wednesday starter. John Lowe against John Parrish. And they tell us Todd Helton tonight is 1 for 2, hitting at .399.
Well, this has got to be the latest in the season that a hitter's taken it close to that 400 mark since Ted Williams.
Just think if he has a good month of September. 1 hopper, Les Johnson.
Well, that's the funny thing right now. That's the way Todd Helton has to look at it. It's like, you know what? I need to just have me a hot month of September. Don't look at it as I need to continue on what I'm doing. No, just say right now, I got to have me a big month.
Here's Charles Johnson, the double and the strikeout. And there's a 2-hopper. Sturts very quickly retires them in order. We're into the 8th. Bad shape.
You gotta love Mondays. On Mondays, Sox tickets are half price. And they still play all 9 innings.
Let's take a look right there at our Toyota game summary. Devil Rays 11-10-0. White Sox 1-5-1. Not good. Tampa Bay just batted around in the 7th. Sturtsy. Kenyon Sturts, 7 innings, 2 base on balls, 6 strikeouts. Been very strong. Carlos Lee with an RBI double in the 4th. That's the lone tally.
Leadoff hitter Gerald Williams will lead things off here in the top of the 8th. He's 3 for 4. 20th homer coming in the 3rd. RBI single in the 5th. Single and scored in the 7th. Change up out in front.
Not only today are the Devil Rays swinging those sticks. I mean, yesterday they had 15 hits, 12 runs, 2 straight days, and double figures for hits.
Checks it up, fouls it off. Billy Taylor, 6'8" right-hander out of Thomasville, Georgia. And that breaking ball is fouled back on the screen. Tried to backdoor him. Well, a lot of times we talk about off days. Sometimes they're in the right spot. Other times they're not. As he gets him on the inside corner. Williams didn't like the call. Meanwhile, 1 out.
Gerald thinking that ball was way inside. Jumping out of the way. I don't think it could have been that far in. He's diving across the plate a bit. It was in there.
That's inside to Russ Johnson. He's 1 for 4. As I said, I'm glad that off day is coming tomorrow.
I think it's perfect timing, do you?
Yeah, I do. 1-1 to count.
Well, a perfectly placed off day here and there is sometimes just what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. Into right field. Maggs is there.
Here's a reminder to visit the arcade section at thewhitesox.com. Check out the newest cool games, triple play trivia, cyber skipper, and degrees of the White Sox.
Greg Vaughn 0 for 1, 3 walks, 3 runs scored. Takes that pitch inside. Five guys who have walked have crossed home plate. Straight back to our right. Just out of reach.
Hey, was that a strike? You for Chicago, I forgot. You for
21
Chicago.
to count.
Canyon Sturk, who's gone 7 strong innings, has never had a complete game in the major leagues.
Well, we talked about it when, as you mentioned earlier, when he was in this White Sox uniform, that you got the ability that's there. No question about that. And that's the reason the Sox signed him. But we got a guy who's done a terrific job for us in that deal.
Herbert Perry. Been an outstanding addition. Let's help both organizations.
Two out and the 2-2 delivery. Just off the corner.
I talked about Tanya not having a complete game. There's a good chance it's not going to tonight. Billy Taylor was warming up.
That's a smash. Watch out.
Women and children first.
Once again, the payoff. Change up, he's gone. And that'll retire the side. After 7.5, it's 11-1 Devil Rays. Our Southwest Airlines tell the tape. One in the first, one in the third, 4 in the fifth, 5 in the seventh. And a pitching change. Feisty coming on, the 6'8" right-hander. Big Bill Taylor.
Yeah, Big Bill. See, he's 1-2, 7.45 ERA. 9 2/3. Look at that, 12 strikeouts. That's pretty good. Billy comes at you with a big sinker, curveball, and slider. I mean, he'd be really tough on some right-handers.
Ray Durham will lead it off. It'll be Durham, Valentin, and Thomas. The game in Boston is over. Anaheim scored 1 in the top of the 11th inning. Boston came back with 2. 7-6 Red Sox. They just keep finding ways, coming back. They've had some comeback victories this season. That's low, 1-1.
I mentioned it the other day. Billy Taylor spent 13 years in the minor leagues before getting an opportunity, and then he had some big shoes to fill, following up Dennis Eckersley.
The 1-2 pitch. Come on, Ray, let's get some sort of a finish going here. Just get a piece of it.
Yeah, right here, Ray. Might as well have yourself a good finish to this day.
Ray 0 for 1. He's lined hard to center. Walked twice, has a stolen base. Ray did his thing in this series, starting off every ball game, reaching base. 2 singles, a triple, and a walk. And the count goes 4.
Give yourself a base hit right here. He's going to come after you.
And he chops that one foul. Once again, a reminder, make your plans to be with us here at Comiskey Park. Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday evening, Sean Lowe against John Parrish. Can't make it to the ballpark. That game will be over Fox Sports Net. On Thursday afternoon, Mike Soraka against Pat Rapp. And if you can't make your plans to be with us, that game will be over WGN. And another foul.
Taylor throwing a big sinker right at the bottom of the strike zone to Rays, just getting a piece of him.
A few years back, you know, he spent so many years in the minor leagues, as you were talking about the other evening. A few years back, I tell you, he was in that Oakland uniform. He was pretty nasty.
I think he just started to lose his control a bit.
As he calls out Durham, Ray saying that ball is outside.
Well, when you're having a game like the White Sox are today, you definitely want stuff like this to happen to you. Your last at bat of the day.
No, Flaherty's got to go out, get it, and bring it back as Valentin takes first pitch down low.
Go, Jose.
Ball hit hard into center field. Williams going back over his head. Now Jose going to give it a shot. Here's the throw, not in time. Valentin, his 6th triple.
That ball was scolded right there by Jose. Billy Taylor got one of those sinkers up over the heart of the plate, and he absolutely hit a missile over Gerald Williams' head. Jose not sure if Gerald Williams is going to make the play. He reaches up the last minute like he had a catch.
58 extra base hits. 6 triples, 33 doubles, 21 homers. And here's Big Frank. Frank, 1 for 3, a double, and he has scored the only Sox run. Taylor looks in and says, where was that?
Well, when you're an umpire, you can't win. You got the pitcher that's going to hate you or the hitter. Any close pitch, somebody's going to want it.
Breaking ball way outside, and the count 2-0. Ball chopped foul, bounces over the photographer's well into the seats. On a nice finish here. In this inning, maybe do something in the ninth. That's low. Maglio on deck. Strong outing for Tanyan Sturt. 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Trying to improve his record to 4-0 in that Tampa Bay uniform. That's off the end of the bat. Bobby Smith. So Valentin will score.
Well, Frank picks up the RBI. Not happy, trying to get a hit, but at least something positive out of that at bat.
117 of them. And here's Maggs. Maggs scorched one right back through the middle in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3. Chops that one foul.
You see, by the way, Billy Taylor drops down 3/4 the sidearm. Throws that ball from behind the right-handed hitter. It can be kind of tough on you. The slider of his started on the inner part, ends up off the outside corner.
That's downstairs. San Diego leading the Mets 1-0 bottom of the 2nd out of Qualcomm. Milwaukee leading Arizona 6-0 bottom of the 2nd in Phoenix. As Maggs jams himself right there. Darrell Williams comes on. He'll make the catch. And that'll retire the side. Sox put one more on the board. We'll go to the 9th. Not good.
The White Sox are brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Log on for Southwest Airlines low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom.
11-2 Devil Rays here in the top of the 9th inning, and coming out to pinch hit for Fred McGriff. It'll be Ozzie Guillen. Ozzie had a strong ball game yesterday, going 3 for 5, an RBI. A couple of runs scored. First pitch from Mark Burley. The ball hit high and deep to right field. Maggs fighting that wind now. Wind bringing it back to him. So 1 out.
Here's a reminder, Sunday, September 3rd, the first 15,000 fans of the ballpark will receive a White Sox 100th year pennant courtesy of Coca-Cola. For tickets, call 312-8311-SOX.
Bobby Smith stands in. He's 2 for 4, 3 RBIs. In the right field, right at Maglio. Now backs up. So 3 pitches, 2 out. Activity. Southpaw Doug. So 2 down quickly here, and that'll bring up the catcher, John Flaherty. He was struck out, lined to center, fouled out to third, and then popped up to third. First pitch, fastball, strike. Cincinnati has defeated Philadelphia 7-4 at Synergy Field. Cardinals leading Pittsburgh 7-4, top of the 8th at Busch Stadium. Houston beat the Cubs 5-4 at Enron. Colorado has come back to take a 2-1 lead over Atlanta. Braves hitting in the top of the 6th inning. 1-2. Full count. So it appears the Sox record's going to fall to 74-51. And they say you can come up with 9 runs in the bottom of the 9th. That's off the leg and hand of Burley. Picks it up, throws over. Has a 1-2-3 inning. That was a little painful right there. Meanwhile, bottom of the 9th. Devil Rays by 9. Mark Burley took that shot off his hand and his leg. Mark Anderson looking things over. A couple of changes for the D-Rays here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Isaac Guillen, who just pinch hit from the drift, remains in the ball game at first base. And on the mound, southpaw Doug Creek. DJ.
Let's take a look at his numbers. 1-2 with that 3.43 RA. That's good. 23rd. This is his 30th game. 39. 47 strikeouts. That's a whole bunch of strikeouts. He's got a very good fastball and a sharp curveball. Breaks late. Tough to pick up. Hitters have trouble with it.
So for the Sox, it'll be Canerco, Carlos Lee, and Chris Singleton. I'll have a moment. We were talking about the throwing arm of Jose Guillen. DJ said Ellis Valentine had the best arm he had ever seen. Here's one from Sweet Lou from downtown Chicago. Says, how about these other great outfield arms? A young Dave Parker, Dwight Evans. Dave Steve is a college outfielder.
I can imagine Dave Steve had a cannon.
He had one from 60 feet 6 inches. And it was moving all over the place.
Well, there's so many outfielders that have had unbelievable arms.
Well, Dwight Evans had just a great arm, velocity-wise and accuracy-wise. Clemente, of course. Kaline had an outstanding arm, accuracy-wise. And I'll tell you another guy that's never mentioned because of the fact that his 60 home runs was Roger Maris. An outstanding arm, and he just threw strikes. So here we go. Also, the White Sox had a guy. He had one of the greatest arms I've ever seen, right there with anybody. When he first came up, he hurt it later on, had some bone chips in his elbow, had to get him cut out. There was Mike Hirschberger. He had a cannon. Of course, Calavito. Want to know the count to fall? He's 1 for 3. A lot of motion from Doug Creek. Tampa Bay 1 in the first, 1 in the third, 4 in the fifth, 5 in the seventh. To accumulate their 11. Sox with 1 in the fourth and 1 in the 8th. Disappointing evening for the 31,744 in attendance. But stuff happens. High into center field. Gerald Williams. So here comes Carlos. 1 for 3. An RBI double. Carlos now with 79 ribbies. Fastball. Nice catch. One-handed. No glove. Plus he had to reach over about a couple of feet. Guy right there in the blue shirt who just sat down. Beautiful play. He Just reached back and zipped that one by him. 0-2. Milwaukee now leading Arizona 8-0. D-backs hitting in the bottom of the second. Atlanta has come back to take a 3-2 lead over Colorado. Rockies hitting in the bottom of the sixth. There's a chopper, and it's going foul. Carlos hitting at 293. So the skipper Larry Rothschild saw his club lose the first two in this 4-game set. And come back. That's poked out into right center field. Guillen gets over, cuts it off. Carlos will have to pull it up. He guns it back in. So Seeley 2 for 4.
Again, airmailed that ball halfway into the infield, but he slipped as he was throwing it.
Well, most of the time guys can throw like that, like to show it off.
That's a bit off the target. Pitcher going over and catching it.
So here's Chris. Chris 0 for 3 on the evening. (11, 10, and 0 for Tampa Bay. 2, 7, and 1 for the Sox. And a count 2-0. Unless the Sox can do something extraordinary right here, the record will fall to 19-19 since the All-Star break. And the count 3-0. And with Cleveland being idle, the lead will be 7.5. And that's ball 4. Not even close. Well, here's Tony. He's 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of ground outs and a strikeout.
Well, one thing about Creek is he does average over a strikeout per inning. He'll walk a few guys to go with that. That was his 25th walk and his 40th inning of work.
And the count 2-0. Charles Johnson on deck. It's 3-0. There's one on the corner. Tony swinging the 3-1 pitch, fouls it back as Esteban Yan starts to loosen up. Big, hard throwing right-hander. Speedway bullpen has really been effective. They have some good arms out there. As he strikes him out. So 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th.
Johnson.
8 strikeouts. Registered by the Devil Rays. And here's C.J. Charles 1 for 3. Double his first at bat. Big hat. That was one of those games, DJ, when you go back in that clubhouse, you just sit down for a moment or two, hang your head, think about a couple of things, get up there, get showered, and enjoy the off day tomorrow. That's into left center field. Here comes Carlos. They're going to wave Chris around. Here's the throw by Martinez, not in time, and it's 11-4. Charles Johnson picks up his 20th two-bagger, drives in RBIs, number 63 and 64.
I like it. Waving Wally, sending Chris, not holding him up. You got to go ahead and get that man who just drove the ball in the gap. Every RBI that he deserves. And he deserved this extra one. Sometimes in games like this, you'll see the third base coach hold the runner up, saying, okay, let's not push her luck. But I like that. There's Wallace Johnson.
Ray Durham takes ball 1. Ray 0 for 2 with a couple of base on balls. Picked up his 19th stolen base, that coming in the first inning. And the count 2-0. It's 3-0. Boy, Doug Creek's motion is pedal to the metal, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a surprising fastball. It gets up on you in a hurry.
There's the strike. Full count. So 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 11-4 Devil Rays. Way off the mark. And here comes Larry Rothschild. So the southpaw Doug Creek will depart. Esteban Yan will come on, and we'll be back.
And here we are in the bottom of the 9th inning, and in a pitching change, Esteban Yan comes on for Doug Creek. He's 6-8, 6.48 ERA, 32nd game, 123 innings, 143 hits, 25 home runs. That's a lot. Only 39 base on balls, 97 strikeouts. But he's been tough out of that bullpen compared to the starting that he was doing.
So 2 on, 2 out, 2 in here in the bottom of the 9th. And here's Jose. He tripled and scored last inning. 1 for 4. Ball gets away from Clay, so both runners will advance. Johnson in the 3rd, Durham in the 2nd. Big rip. That's going foul. Hit it hard. Got out and around it. But once again, the Sox down to their last bullet. Big Frank on deck. There's a ground ball. Yeah. Underneath the yawn, and this ball game is over. So Sox take the first two of this four-game set. D-Rays come right back. Won a thriller yesterday, 12-11. Take this one, 11-4. And we'll be back to wrap it up. And right now, let's check out our Miller Genuine Draft play of the game. Coming in the fifth inning, bases loaded, and Fred McGriff at the plate. Feisty.
Freddie very successful over his career with the bases loaded, and especially against left-handers. He's going to drive a fastball past Jose and drive in two big runs.
And the final totals in the finale of this four-game set and the final meeting of the year between these two ball clubs. Sox take the season series 6-4. The Tampa Bay, 11 runs, 10 hits, no errors. They stranded 4 for the Sox. 4 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. They left 7. Sturt's the winner. He is 5-2. He is now 4-0 in that Devil Ray uniform. Parquet takes the loss. He is 10-5. And a reminder, our next telecast of White Sox baseball will be Thursday afternoon when the Sox and Baltimore Orioles conclude that brief two-game series from Comiskey Park. Join us at 1 p.m. over WGN-TV. So for my partner, Darrin Jackson, our director, Fillmore Skip Ellis, and our producer, John Walgren, this is a Hawk and Harrelson. So long, everybody.
Chicago White Sox baseball has been brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. Never miss a genuine opportunity. Your local Ford store, quality people, quality products. Your Toyota dealers, leading the way every day. And by Southwest Airlines. Log on for Southwest Airlines low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom.